He won't have the strength to move now, but why does he still have that look? Hyuk attacks him and says, fall into despair. He cuts Sungyun's eyes. Sungyun screams with pain. Sungyun thinks, my eyes. I'm also at my limit for stamina that fuels my recovery. I only have one attack I can do after mustering up all my strength. But I can't see. Hyuk gets ready to attack again. Sungyun thinks, so there's no way that this attack can work. What should I don? Catherine and Sunghun runs toward Sungyun. She screams and says, Sungyun. Sungyun hears them and thinks, if they come now, they'll only be slaughtered. Sungyun screams and says, no. Don't come. Hyuk gives an evil smile and says, your comrades. That's the reason why you were still able to have that look. She uses a fireball attack. Hyuk dodges the attack and appears behind her. He hits her in the back. Sunghun screams, Catherine and swing his hammer with full strength. Hyuk dodges his attack easily. Hyuk kicks Sunghun in the head. Hyuk picks Catherine by holding her hairs. She says, let go. Hyuk hits her with his sword. She screams really loud because of the pain. Hyuk says, I can smell you comrades frying. Sungyun says, stop, you perverted bastard. Hyuk gives an evils and says, yes. That's a good expression. And he starts to laugh. Chunsuk appears there with a really angry look on his face. He uses an ice magic on Hyuk. He grabs Catherine and starts running. Chunsuk thinks, let's do the minimum energy treatment. Hyuk gets angry and breaks and says, you insect bastard. He breaks the ice, and jumps really fast toward them. Chunsuk uses Zorb Ball on Catherine to help her escape. She goes bouncing really fast. Chunsuk thinks, I'm going to send her as far away as possible. That's the best I can do. And right after, I'll hide again. As Chunsuk uses hide magic and half disappears. Hyuk grabs him from the head. He hits Chunsuk with a really powerful attack on his back. Sungyun thinks, this is no different to that day 7 years ago. Right now, I can't protect anyone. After that we see a mouse comes running. And there are thousands of mice. Sungyun thinks, disaster. Countless mice, which have recognized this fight as a disaster, have come running to the surface. And, the one attack I have left. Sungyun uses a powerful attack and kills all the mice. System Sand all possessed souls have been used to recover stamina. Sungyun gets back up and says, calm down. You Murim pervert. Hyuk has cuts the one of the arm of Sunghun and he is holding. Hyuk says, no. You have better reactions this way. Pung uses dash attack and hits Hyuk in the stomach with a powerful fire punch. System says, due to authority fire suppression, the abilities of those who touch the fire will drastically decrease. Sword Chi will be sealed for 10 minutes. Sword Flame will be sealed for 10 minutes. Everyone, excluding Namgong Hyuk, will be immune to the fire. Hyuk goes flying. Pung says, I'm China's here, Pung Jamin. I'm still alive, you damned bastard. Pung picks up Sunghun and starts running. He says, since Catherine's fire was used, we're going now. Hyuk gets really angry and says, till the very end, these insects. He tries to use Sword Chi. System says, you cannot use Sword Chi. It is sealed due to skill fire suppression. Hyuk gets really angry and says, damn it. He activates Forceful Battle. Some really big swords falls from the sky around Sungyun and Hyuk. It creates a barrier. System says, due to unique trait, Forceful Battle, a fighting domain has been established with a 30-meter radius. All people beside Han Sungyun and Namgun Hyuk are prohibited from entering the fighting domain. Sungyun is just standing there. Hyuk thinks, my sword Chi is sealed, but I can just combat Chi. Hyuk jumps toward Sungyun to punch him and thinks, what can a blind bastard do? Sungyun thinks when was it? Sungyun dodges his attack and thinks, spiritual eyes, which can see attacks outside my field of vision. I thought that was it. Including the wall that's created with a 30-meter radius. I can see all the rocks within this area too. To think I can see more things after losing my eyesight. I haven't been using spiritual eyes properly until now. It's as if I've opened a third eye. System says, you have discovered the true spiritual eyes. Skill Spiritual Eyes rank D- has leveled up to B rank. A battle where you have put your life on the line while depending on your senses is in progress. Skill Sixth Sense rank C+ has leveled up to AB rank. Sungyun thinks, Sixth Sense, which I completely forgot after obtaining it, has evolved and my senses have become clearer. System says, you have succeeded in surviving a battle against someone who's well versed with the sword. Skill Demon Slayer rank C has leveled up to B rank. In a short amount of time, your body has suffered a copious amount of danger, surpassing its limit. Skill Ashen Blood rank B- has level up to B+ rank. Hyuk is surprised and jumps back. Sungyun thinks, with this. Sungyun opens his eyes. He thinks, I can fight on par with Namgong Hyuk, whose abilities have been decreased. Sungyun starts to run toward Hyuk. Hyuk sees him and thinks, what is this situation? How are his movements improving? And how is his balda getting sharper? System says, activating skill Clandestine Shadow Step rank C+. User is moving Thora an area coved by shade. User's moving speed will be increased by 30%. Sungyun activates skill Instant Acceleration. And Wind's Grace. All Cs will be increased by 70%. Current stacks in use 7 out of 7. Sungyun also activates skill Chaotic Sword Fighting Play rank C+. System says, attack speed with blade weapons will be increased by 20%. Current stacks in 10 out 10. The both dodges each other's attacks. Sungyun thinks, even if I use all these skills, we're barely on par with each other. It's too risky for me. I'm gonna run out of stamina soon, and Namgong Hyuk's decreased abilities will be back to normal in 10 minutes. I need to end this fight while the flame is still there. The one thing that can turn the tables on a close fight is an unexpected variable. Sungyun throws his sword with full strength. Hyuk smiles and easily dodges the sword. He says, you made a foolish choice because you're cornered. Hyuk jumps toward Sungyun to punch him and says, you idiot. Sungyun dodges Hyuk's punch. Sungyun uses iron-blooded sword. A sword appears right in front of his feet. And Sungyun stabs Hyuk in stomach using his feet. Hyuk throw out blood. Hyuk thinks, damn it, it must have touched my dantian. I need to act fast if I want to completely recover later on. System says, Authority Fire Suppression has ended. Unique trait Forceful Battle has ended. The 30-meter radius fighting domain will be undone, allowing for external interference. Chunsuk is standing outside the barrier and says, the barrier's going away. Hyuk pulls the sword out of his stomach and throws it away. He says, I was too focused on playing. I will end this fight next time. He bring out a return stone. A gate opens in front of them. Chunsuk sees that and says, a gate. Peng says, he's trying to go back to the Muram dimension. Hyuk starts to walk toward the gate. At that moment, everyone felt that, if they do not kill Namgong Hyuk here, it would mean great disaster for Earth someday. They all jumps toward him and says, stop him. Hyuk sees toward them and says, what? Run away. He uses a really strong attack, Sword Flame. A really big slash attack comes toward them. All the building gets cut into two from the center. Sungyun appears in front of them and blocks the attack using counter shield. Shield gets destroyed in one of his arms as well. System says, skill counter shield has been destroyed. Absorbed damage can no longer be released. Catherine says, Sungyun, your arm. Sungyun says, don't mind this, the enemy's still there. Hyuk says, Han Sungyun, I could have killed you from the start in one attack. Do you really want to see this to the end? Sungyun gets angry and says, it's frustrating, but I can't say anything to that. Hyuk says, I'll come back soon. Hyuk walks through the gate to his dimension. Sungyun falls to ground, everyone comes running toward him. We see that Muram dimension. Two monks come toward Hyuk and says, you're back, young master. Hyuk cough out a lot of blood. And shit on one of his knees. One of them says, young master. Are you alright? Hurry and call for a physician. Hyuk gets angry and thinks, Han Sungyun, no matter what, I'll drive you to despair. After that we see at the hospital within Tokyo. Sungyun opens his eyes. President says, Han Sungyun, are you awake? Sungyun gets up and says, where? She says, it's the hospital. You can't move yet. You're badly hurt. She says, I don't even know what to say. In response to your huge sacrifice. He uses ashen blood. He gets all healed up and says, I'm fine. Where are the others? He goes to Catherine's room and says, Catherine, are you? She is sitting there without shirt. Everyone screams. After that we see Chunsuk is barely walking and says, damn my life. He sees Han Sungyun, and says, Han Sungyun, what's with you face? Sungyun has a slap mark on his face. Sungyun says, I went to Catherine's room and, well, seeing as she's full of energy, she seems to be alright. But Kim Sunghoon wasn't in his place. Do you know where he is? Chunsuk says, I only saw him in the morning for a little bit. He's probably in a bad state right now. He's lost his right arm. Sungyun says, you were here. Sunghoon says, here he comes, the sword phantom is here. Sungyun thinks, sword phantom. Sunghoon says, your left arm, did you heal it using a skill? Sungyun says, yes. He says, what an unbelievable skill. You have knack for surprising people. Well, I'm sure you heard, but my right arm couldn't be saved. Sungyun says, I'm sorry. If I were stronger, this wouldn't have happened. Sunghoon says, don't worry, I have a skill to make up for it. Sungyun says, I've been climbing the tower like an insane man just for the sake of getting stronger. Like I was possessed by something, it was like I had tunnel vision. Sunghoon says, that's not a bad thing, I'm sure that's what made you strong. But, the strong should help the weak. At least, that's the ideal I live by. Sungyun says, I learned a lot from this battle. I remembered something important that I had forgotten about. Sungyun removes his mask, and says, well, I'm relieved. That someone strong like you isn't an ill-intentioned psycho. I couldn't tell what you were thinking when I first met you in the tower. Sunghoon starts to smoke and says, do you want one too? Sungyun says, no. I stay away from smoking and drinking. Sungyun is surprised to see him. And says, you're. Sunghoon says, right, I forgot to tell you who I am. AF that we see that they all take picture with the president and some other association member. They take interviews. Sungyun give Catherine some a necklace. Everyone leaves Japan but Sungyun stays behind. He wears the tailcoat and thinks the tailcoat's design. It must have been upgraded a bit during the repair. The equipment is in perfect condition. Well, since I prevented a calamity from happening, I guess this much service is to be expected. He lays on the bed and says, the 3 days of the return stone were chaotic. I didn't really want to get this famous. The video of the battle is already everywhere. It was recorded from the Japan Hunter Association's helicopter. Everyone is talking about him on the internet and some don't believe he was training at White Lotus for 7 years. And some people call him Sword Phantom. He thinks, is this what Kim Sunghoon meant by Sword Phantom? But to think he was the Lightning Emperor. Lightning Emperor. Even amongst the 30 Korean S-rank hunters, his nickname was the most powerful. He destroyed gates at a speed other S-rank hunter could not keep up with. He was basically the hero of Korea. Sunghoon gives Sungyun his ID card and says, if something happens, you can contact me. I'll be honest. You can look at it as scouting. You can contact me for less serious reasons too. Or any other reason. System says, time over. Sungyun gets up and says, well, I'll go become stronger, so that I can be deserving of the nickname Sword Phantom. System says, returning to the Tower of Trials. Sungyun gets excited and says, back to the tower. He gets to the lobby of 11th floor. Sungyun thinks, there's something I learned from the fight against Namdong Hyuk. That was stamina. Sungyun opens shop. Sungyun thinks, Ashen Blood is one of the strongest healing skills I have. But it doesn't activates when I don't have enough stamina. It's time I obtain a new stamina recovery skill. Sungyun checks the skill in the shop and says, all the skills are kind of iffy. The best way to solve this kind of problem while shopping is to just buy them all. System says, you have purchased automatic stamina recovery rank D-. Description, all stamina will be automatically recovered by 0.07% every 180 seconds. 15,000 points have been spent. You have purchased Moonlight Absorption rank E-. Description, recovery ability will be increased by 100% when exposed to moonlight. 10,000 points have been spent. You have purchased Sunlight Absorption rank E-. Description, recovery ability will be increased by 100% when exposed to sunlight. 10,000 points have been spent. You have purchased Excess Growth rank C-. Description, all physical recovery abilities and stamina will be increased by 70%. 20,000 points have been spent. You purchased Calling of Blood rank C-. Description, when absorbing the blood of an opponent the user has killed, stamina and HP will be regenerated depending on the amount of blood consumed. 20,000 points have been spent. I've collected enough points to buy all the skills I need and still have leftover. System says, activating authority skill synthesis. Opening skill contents. Please choose skills to synthesize form the ones you have. Sungyun thinks, first I'll synthesize with good dynamics. He combines sunlight absorption rank E- and moonlight absorption rank E-. He get a new skill, photosynthesis rank C-. A skill window appears saying skill photosynthesis rank C-. Proficiency 0%. Effect recovery ability will be increased by 200% when exposed to moonlight or sunlight. User will be able to absorb mana throat light. He sees that and thinks, alright. Its rank went up quite a bit, and the toe. Skills pros mixed well together. Now if I mix Calling of Blood here, it'll be great. He combined photosynthesis rank C- with Calling of Blood rank C-. He gets a new skill called Blood Tinted Contract rank C-. Skill window appears saying, skill Blood Tinted Contract rank C-. Proficiency 0%. Effect, user will be able to extract HP, stamina and mana from the blood of a living being that user killed. Sungyun says, that one's a failure. The skill's rank didn't go up, and the advantages of photosynthesis disappeared. Then, system says, you have purchased Calling of Blood rank C-. 20,000 points have been spent. He says, I'll just buy the same one. I have a lot of points anyway. Sungyun thinks I'll combine Blood Tinted Contract with Calling of Blood once again. He gets the new skill called Truth Seeker of Blood rank B. He is surprised to see that and says, B rank. Skill window appears saying, skill Truth Seeker of Blood rank B. Proficiency 0%. Basic effect user will be able to extract HP, stamina, D and mana from the blood of a living being and will gain a strong blood controlling ability. Detailed effect all blood being lost by the user will be automatically recovered little by little. Sungyun thinks, I can extract HP, stamina, and mana from the blood. And also control blood. What's that? Sungyun cuts his hand to test the ability. Sungyun gets excited and thinks, literally controlling blood. He create different weapons with his blood. And says, I can make any shape I want. Let's see something like this. He focus on being out a drop of blood. He thinks, I can squeeze blood out even if I don't directly slice into the skin. Although I would have to cut into the skin to use a lot of blood quickly. Truth Seeker of Blood, this is gonna be useful. And I put more time into upgrading Eyes of the Truth. He combines to more skills. And gets a new skill called Flame Dragon Eye rank A+. Skill window appears saying, skill Flame Dragon Eye, basic effect, the Flame Dragon's authority will be imbued onto the eye so that the user can see what cannot be seen. Detailed effect, user can see information about objects and see through others' lies. He checked the details of his items. And thinks, these are things I couldn't see before. And, he checks his sword. He sees Heavenly Blood Demonic Sword. When a user who has reached the realm of Sword Flame levels up Blood Chi to the maximum, the ultimate skill will be unlocked. He thinks, Sword Flame. That was how Hangoang Hyuk was able to destroy the entire Shinjuku region. I guess only those who have reached that level can awaken the true ability of the Heavenly Blood Demonic Sword. I thought it was just a pretty good sword. I didn't expect a hidden ability like that. Then, let's go. System says, entering the 11th floor of the Tower of Trials. Difficulty hard. The current trials theme is mentality verification. Remaining time 7 days. Clear condition clear the 7th trail within the remaining time. Failed conditions challengers death of timeout. Trail clear rewards old mirror of verification rank S-. Trial failure penalty death. Sungyun goes through the gates and a man is standing in front of him and he says, welcome to the Temple of Verification. Sungyun, Temple of Verification. That man is standing on one leg and says, you will now go through the trails given by the God of Verification. And these trails will continue up until your death. You have decided to take to this God's trails despite being just a mere explorer, so you will have to deal with the consequences. Sungyun says, so, what do I have to do to clear the first trial? That man says, do you not even know the rules of the trials of Ares' 7 leading gods? Sungyun says, no. Sungyun thinks, that must be the Black Knight's dimension that class invaded the 5th floor. The man says, I don't understand how a stupid explorer like you got here. Oh, well I'll explain. The trails are simple. Prove your body, faith and mentality. First is the body, the last is mentality, which is the hardest. The way to clear the trials is simple. There will be a high priest waiting for you at each room of the trial. You just need to move forward onto the next room by either killing them or convincing them. Sungyun says, so I just need to get past them, regardless of what method I use. That man says, I've explained enough to you, you can come up with your own answers. The let's begin. He jumps toward Sungyun really fast and says, the first trial. They start to trade punches. Sungyun thinks, he must be about the level of a challenger who earned the pioneer title. Sungyun activates skill the truth seeker of blood. Gets a drop of blood out of his finger. And shot it like a bullet. It hits the center of the forehead of the man. Sungyun thinks, damn, this kill's insane. Thanks for the explanation. That monster dies and falls to the ground. System says, you have absorbed the spirit of the priest Johann. Proficiency has been raised 5.8%. Administrator Priest of 7 Gods is shocked at the scene he coincidentally saw. Administrator God Slaying Swordsman is nodding at you actions. Administrator Fallen World Soldier praises you for being interesting. Administrator Seeker of Divinity says that you don't need to worry, you're doing great in proving yourself. Sungyun says, considering their nicknames, I think I got their attention because this trial's related to God. Administrator Iron-Blooded Lord is shocked at you actions. Administrator White Crane Sword Master is upset that you went into the trials without saying anything. Sungyun thinks, what? I have no way to contact the administrators. Sungyun take an item from his body and says, there's an item. Administrator Priest of 7 Gods is silently watching you. Administrator Fallen World Soldier is impressed by you greed. Administrator God Slaying Swordsman nods as if he understands. Sungyun uses Flame Dragon Eye. A message popped up saying, mirror containing High Priest's divinity rank C+. A mirror in which the High Priest Johann imbued with his divinity every day. User can utilize the divinity to create a divine barrier just once. When creating divine barrier, mentality may become corrupted. Sungyun thinks, this is the basic information. After that a text appeared that could only be seen through the Flame Dragon Eye. The text says, the divinity within the mirror might lead the user to prove his fate. Sungyun says, might lead the user to prove his fate, huh? What the hell does that mean? It sounds like just a one-use protection barrier item. Sungyun opened the next door and thinks I hope there are a lot more of the body verifications. Priest in second room says, to think an outsider explorer whose name I don't even know, would make it to here so fast. She is a girl and she says, Johann must be past his days. It's over for me boys. Sungyun says, are you the second trials priestess? She says, yes, dear explorer. I'm the second trials priestess, Jane. She throws her chair toward Sungyun and says, nice to meet you. He says, seeing as you use violence. There must also be a verification of the body. She jumps ready to attack Sungyun and she says, correct. She swings the sword with her full strength. He dodges it easily. Sungyun says, this sword chi. It feels like what I used to use back in the day. Sungyun activates Sword Chi Master. Activating skill Lightning Sword Chi. Sungyun does a slash attack. She barely blocks the attack using her sword. She gets injured. She says, how? A mere explorer using complete aura. Sungyun says, why wouldn't I be able to use it when you can too? She says, God-given divine power. That's how we priests get out powers. I was just surprised that someone without any divine power was using such incredible sword chi. Sungyun thinks, divine power. She gets all healed up. She jumps ready to attack him. He thinks, it was definitely a lethal injury. Divine power, what an annoying power. From what I heard from the first priest, apparently I don't need to kill to get through these trails. Sungyun says, is it even possible to change your minds? She says, I don't know. Maybe if you have some godly persuasion skills. Sungyun says, how many of these bodily trials are there? She says, you're truly arrogant. You're so relaxed. Do you think you've already won? She jumps toward him and says, you can ask questions like that after you've won. Sungyun uses instant acceleration, and grabs her against the wall and says, I won. She says, what? Why like this? Sungyun says, now, tell me the process of the verification. She says, are you going to attempt something? Administrator Fallen World Soldier awaits you answer. Administrator Iron-Blooded Monarch glares at you through squinted eyes. Administrator White Crane Swordmaster is shocked at the unexpected question. Sungyun says, I'm not into that. She laughs and says, that's good. Administrator Iron-Blooded Monarch agrees with Jane. Administrator White Crane Swordmaster says she knew you were a good guy. Administrator Seeker of Divinity is watching you with curiosity. Sungyun says, why would you ask that? Who come all the way here just to do something like that? She says, do you really think people wouldn't? You're really naive for an explorer. Sungyun says, just give me the explanation for the trials. She says, there are now 2 bodily trials left, and the proof of faith begins at the 5th trial and ends at the 6th. Then there is only 1 prof of mentality at the end. She says, but before you challenge her that one, you better consider giving up. No one has ever passed the 7th trial. Everyone who entered that trial either went crazy or died bleeding from everywhere. He uses flame dragon eyes and detects no lies. She says, that's it. My last words, well, let's just say I haven't had a good fight like this in a while. Sungyun says, if there's a way to pass this place without killing you, then tell me. She says, you can't do that. Sungyun says, aren't you afraid to die? She laugh like crazy and says, not at all. I'd just be going back to God. Sungyun kills her and thinks, I guess nothing good will come out of stalling this any longer. Sungyun absorbs the soul of Priestess Jane. And his proficiency has risen 8.8%. Sungyun says, somehow, I feel really disgusting. Sungyun opened the next door and there is an old man with the sword. He says, I'm Leslian, the future sword of the god of verification. I will test your martial arts from now on. Prove that you're worthy of moving on to the next trial. Leslian arrays his sword and uses Aura Blade. Sungyun sees that and thinks it's unstable, but that's definitely Sword Flame. Sungyun gets ready to fight and says, Sword Flame on the 3rd trail. I might have to risk my life from this point on. The both start to fight with each other. Sungyun sees him and thinks, but something's strange. His bodily capabilities and his sword attacks are worse off than mine. So why is my sword chi being destroyed instead? After seeing Namgong Hyuk use Sword Flame, I thought it was an advanced skill. Maybe he was just insanely strong. And this Sword Flame skill isn't an advanced skill. The keep fighting. Sungyun thinks, I knew it. No matter how many times I try, my sword chi keeps losing. Leselina says, even if your aura is strong, you cannot destroy this sword. The only ones who can destroy this are those who can handle that which cannot be seen. Sungyun thinks, he's weaker than me but uses Sword Flame. This is like. Sungyun gets really excited and says, seeing someone who's dumber than me always do better on tests. It's annoying. That which cannot be seen, my ass. That sword, I'll destroy it no matter what. Sungyun jumps toward him ready to attack. Sungyun thinks, I'll destroy it. Leselina says, only those who can handle that which cannot be seen, are able to make a sword that can slice through all things. Sungyun just keeps thinking I'll destroy it. Leslian says, that is how the blade, possessing aura, and absolute A-power, is born. Sungyun just thinks, I'll destroy it. Sungyun cuts his sword and injure him. Leslian is surprised to see that. Sungyun thinks, I see. The difference between Sword Flame and Sword Chi. The source of Sword Flame's power was a will that's strong enough to be realized. Leslian cough out blood. Leslian gets happy and says, your Sword Flame is a genuine one and not like mine that is unstable. Because it was borrowed from a god of verification. You really done it. Sungyun sees him and thinks, is he happy? He's more concerned about my accomplishments than his own death. He seems to be driven by some purpose, but whether that is insanity or faith. Leslian says, to learn so quickly, I can almost feel it myself. You have proven you martial arts. Continue on, just like that. He says, right, just like that. Sungyun cuts his head up and says, I'll ease you pain. You have absorbed the spirit of Priest Leslian. Proficiency has risen 14%. Exclusive Authority Necromancy's proficiency has reached 100%. Exclusive Authority, Necromancy, S rank is leveling up. Necromancy rank B. Sungyun thinks, it's already B rank. I wonder what skills were added this time. System says, Sub-Effect 6, when absorbing the spirit of a stronger opponent, you may be allowed to extract an authority. Sungyun is surprised to see that and thinks, a skill to extract someone's authority. Necromancy never fails to surprise me. Plus, it's only B rank and it's this good. I wonder what kind of effects will be added when it gets to an S rank. She checks his stats and thinks, my stats are getting close to 3 digits. I thought this was something I would never reach when I was a student. He absorbs all the priests and his stats permanently increase. System says, your strength has increased by 8. Your agility has increased by 6. Your stamina has increased by 7. Your mana has increased by 8. Your durability has increased by 9. Absorbing one of the priest Leslie's skills. You have obtained the skill Indomitable will rank a minus. A skill window appears saying, Indomitable will rank a minus. Proficiency 27%. Description, the system of a person who does not give into despair and continues to challenge the impossible. Basic effect: physical capabilities and concentration will be heightened when facing an opponent stronger than the user. Sub-effect, when the skill is activated it will be easier to learn something new, and mentality protection skills will be reinforced. He opens to door of 4th trail. He thinks, no one's here. A man is flying above him and says, I guess Leslie died then. That's unsuspected. Administrator God-slaying swordsman warns you to be careful. Administrator Fallen World Soldier says this is a difficult opponent so you shouldn't get full of yourself. Administrator White Crane Swordmaster says this opponent uses real sword chi. Administrator Iron-Blooded Monarch is impressed by the priest's strong aura. Sungyun uses a slash attack. He come down on the ground and says, I guess you don't really want to talk. Then, we'll begin right away. You 4th trail. He says, I'm a priest in training Chiron. I will start the verification of the body according to the principles of verification. System says, user has come across a much stronger opponent. Skill Indomitable Will is being activated. Sungyun thinks his energy is incomparable to the previous priests. He bring out some glass-looking weapon, and uses an energy attack. Sungyun dodges the attack. Energy hits the mirrors around the room and about to hit Sungyun in the back. Sungyun activates Flame Dragon Eye, and cuts the energy attack. Sungyun thinks, that light ray. It gets reflected on the mirror and is a pain to deal with. I need to attack him before he continues with those light ray attacks. Sungyun jumps toward Chiron. Chiron hits Sungyun with his wings. Sungyun goes flying. Chiron gets ready to attack again. Sungyun barely blocks the attack and thinks, Sword Flame is the default now. Chiron falls back. Sungyun thinks this must be his guaranteed win method. He attacks with his light rays from afar. Even if his opponent dodges the rays, the mirrors all over the place reflect the rays from him that the opponent can't see. He then uses his wings to create a force of wind from close up to break his opponent's sense of balance, then counter-attacks with Sword Flame. What a bullshit pattern to deal with. But it's also difficult to destroy these mirrors. If smaller piece of the mirrors were to reflect the rays, it'd be impossible to dodge all of them. Although I could detect him with Flame Dragon Eye. Administrator Overlord of the Heavens is starting to question the difficulty of the 11th floor trial. Administrator Priest of Remorse is shocked that a priest in training is this skilled. Administrator Dark Demon wonder how you are going to die. Sungyun sees that and thinks, how I'm going to die, huh? We my administrators don't seem very worried. Chiron bring out another weapon and says, it won't be easy this time. Try and take it if you can. Chiron uses a lot light rays. A big explosion happens. System says, charging complete. Chiron is surprised to see him. System says, skill counter shield is prepared to reflect the absorbed damage. Sungyun releases the attack, and hits Chiron in the stomach. Chiron cough out blood, and says, what's this? I didn't see any evidence that you had learned magic. Do you perhaps have God's authority? Sungyun says, I don't know what God's authority is. Chiron says, I see. You didn't run from the fight nor did you lose. I announce that you have completed all trials for the verification of the body. You are qualified. He falls to the ground. Sungyun absorbs the spirit of Chiron, and his proficiency has increased by 13%. System says, as the spirit is stronger than the user, assessment for the absorption of an authority will begin. Assessment complete. Check for prize Chiron's authorities complete. Extracting authority from the spirit. Authority Divine Power rank C+ will be engraved onto Han Sungyun's soul. He thinks, divine power, is the power the priests here have been using like mana. I do feel a kind of energy in my heart, but I can't move it. It's different from mana. Administrator says, White Crane SW Rodmaster question why the divine power is in you Central Dantian. Administrator Iron-Blooded Monarch is taken aback that there are no traces of God in your divine power. Sungyun thinks, is divine power that big of a deal? You have absorbed the spirit of Priest Chiron, your stats will be permanently increased. Your strength has increased by 4. Your agility has increased by 3. Your stamina has increased by 3. Your mana has increased by 4. Your durability has increased 5. Sungyun gets to the 5th trials. There's an old woman. She says, one wrapped in insanity over marital arts. Sungyun thinks, wrapped in insanity. Sungyun says, what does that mean? Old woman says, isn't your goal to win, and win again, to infinitely grow stronger and one day become the most powerful? Sungyun thinks, I do want to get stronger. But becoming the most powerful. Isn't she exaggerating? She appears right beside him and says, I'm not exaggerating, it's just the end result of your efforts. Sungyun is really surprised and swing his sword with full speed. She dodges his attack and stands on his head. She says, don't get too riled up. This trial isn't to see what you're physically capable of. It's to prove your faith.